Hello and welcome to AVID Achievers. I am your host, Dot Arita, coordinator of AVID. This season on AVID Achievers, we will be joined by AVID teachers from across the county who will be interviewing their former AVID students in their college settings. These interviews will help us to learn more about local colleges and see what skills these AVID students from AACPS are putting to use in the college setting. We hope you enjoy these interviews.
Hello, my name is Jennifer Ballard, and I was the AVID Site Coordinator at Glen Burnie High School, and now I'm the AVID Elective Teacher at North County. I am your guest host for AVID Achievers today. Today, we're excited to be joined by Dayvon, who is a Glen Burnie alumnus. Dayvon, thank you so much for being here today. Can you start by introducing yourself and telling us what college you're attending?
Yes, my name is Dayvon Cuffey. I attended Glen Burnie High School from 2013 to 2017. Currently now, I'm finishing at Mercy College in New York, Dobbs Ferry, but I took a little route. So I went to Lycoming College in Williamsport, PA. There's a couple of people from Glen Burnie that actually goes there now. And then I went to AACC, Anne Arundel County Community College. And then I finished at Mercy, where I'm currently at now.
Okay, that sounds like a journey. I hope that you can tell us about that in a little bit. First of all, let's take a step back. Tell me about your elementary, middle, and high school. Which schools did you go to?
So elementary, if you went to Glen Burnie, North County, any of the surrounding schools, North County, Glen Burnie, Battle of the Boulevards every year, right next to each other. So for elementary, I went to Point Pleasant. I'm pretty sure if you're at North County or Glen Burnie, you can relate to Point Pleasant Elementary. But middle school, I went to Marley Middle, and same goes for that. You can relate to either one.
All right, cool. And how long were you in the AVID program?
I was in the AVID program for about 5 years, including my 8th grade year at Marley. And it's crazy because for AVID, you had to start 6th grade, but they allowed me. I knew the teacher real well. She knew me real well. And not because I was a good student at the time, but because I was more so coming from becoming what I am now from being at one of the head cases kind of thing. So she let me in, and ever since then, it was just something that helped me through my career in high school.
Now, what made you want to join AVID at the middle school level?
So for me, like Avid for me, I had a couple friends in Avid, and they would tell me what they would do sometimes, and then you would think I didn't join until 8th grade, so 6th to 7th grade it wasn't clicking for me. But once it clicked, Avid was more so it was a preparation. Like all of our hall monitors, all of our honor students were in Avid, so I'm like, all right, so there's one thing in your schedule that I don't have on my schedule, so it must be making a difference. So and the teacher was really she was outgoing. She was first one in the hallway in the morning. You walking down the hallway, she'll tell you to walk. She'll stop you and tell you why you should walk. So it was more so like for me, I enjoyed getting that even though it wasn't just me that she talked to that way, I enjoyed getting that personal confrontation every morning. So for me, I was imagining what it would be like in her classroom. And I also had a tech ed class right next to the classroom, and they seemed like they were doing more than us sometimes. So
Now, was your AVID teacher Miss Anderson?
Miss Anderson,
Yeah,
Miss
Miss
Anderson,
Anderson's a classic. She's the one that actually got me into teaching AVID.
yeah, Miss Anderson was definitely my she was my AVID teacher. But Miss Anderson, we actually our family has a history. So my whole family's went to Marley, from my dad to me to my oldest sister. I'm the youngest. So to my older sister, we've all went to Marley, and Miss Anderson knew everybody. Like she knew all of us. So that also helped me reel into AVID. Like she would be the one to stop me and be like, "I know your dad." Like I will call your dad. And I'm like, Miss Anderson, you ain't gotta do that. Like, no need for that.
That's awesome. So it sounds like you had a great experience at the middle school. What do you remember the most thinking back at your high school level with your AVID class?
High school level, it was Avid for me was one of the classes that I can go to and be free, and not be free as in do what I want to be free as in I don't have to sit and write notes. I mean, there came times where you had to do that, but it was more hands on. It was more hands on. We were on a computer a lot, not on a computer playing games, but on a computer filling out things for the future, helping us prepare for the future. So for me, having a high school, like I didn't really know about college or anything like that until my sophomore year. So when I was coming up in high school, like I was more so thinking, let me get this degree. That's the only degree. Let me get this diploma. That's what my family preached, kind of thing. I'm being a first generation college student too. You can understand why they preached the diploma. That's the first thing they preached for me. So when I found out about this college, it was like, oh, I wanna see what it's about. Like no one else can tell me their experience from where I'm from. So let me go and be able to be the one to tell the experience about.
Okay, so it sounds like you learned a lot about college during your high school years. Is there anything that you learned in AVID as far as like skills or strategies that you've used throughout your college experience to help you academically?
So one thing that I just mentioned that you didn't really have to do, but you did have to do was more of a homework for us, taking notes. You had to take notes, you had to fill out notes and bring it back to class on what the class we did before. So for me, that's something heavy that I took to my college experience. That's something that helped me along the way. Like when I was sitting in AVID, there would be sometimes I'm like, why are we filling out notes? Like, what are we doing notes for? Like, this is in the class. I do notes in every other class. But the notes in the AVID class and the notes in your regular class, like for math instance, you're taking math notes in the AVID class, you're taking stratical notes. So it prepared me to be able to not only take notes, but in a different way. I had many different ways. So if I couldn't get it this way, I got it this way. If I couldn't get it this way, I got it that way. So when it came to strategy, that definitely helped me with that.
That's awesome. And you mentioned that you've been to 3 different schools. So when you're a senior in AVID, naturally, AVID seniors, they spend a lot of time on college applications and letters of recommendation, looking at like financial aid and scholarships. What made you decide on Lycoming? What stood out for you about Lycoming to go there?
So Lyco for me was liberal arts. So in the AVID classes, when I did my research about liberal arts, I think it was actually an assignment we had to do, research one of the schools that you want to attend. But for me, it was liberal arts were well-rounded. So you can get your degree in whatever you want to get it in, but you're still going to take them science classes, them everything you need to take, science, math, history, everything. So for me, Lyco, when I seen liberal arts and I'm like, basketball too, I'm like, yeah, definitely. I can definitely go do this.
Okay, and tell us a little bit about Lycoming. Where was it located? Is it a big school, small school?
So Lyco was probably the equivalent size, maybe a little bigger than Glen Burnie itself, but it was in Williamsport, PA. People will tell you it's the country. When you're driving to it, it's the country. But just like you go out North County, Glen Burnie, and you got Ritchie Highway right there, it's the same thing. You got everything on that one strip. So for me, it was so to me, it was kind of the country because I didn't know anybody around there. So I couldn't just pull up to the neighborhood, go to somebody's school I know, go to somebody's house I know, and you feel me, chill with them, talk to them, hang with them, play games with them. The same thing I did in high school. But it got to a point where you could do that because also at Lyco, they had off-campus housing. And off-campus housing at Lyco was the same housing as regular people. It might be a college student living next to a 60-year-old grandmother or a family of 4. So for me, Lyco, and I visited. I went and visited Lyco. They had a football team. It was just like a perfect fit for me coming from Glen Burnie. Football team, basketball team, volleyball team, anything you could think of, they had it there.
And why would you recommend visiting college campuses before making a decision?
You have like it's you must visit a college campus before you like that's a must. Unless you're going to a community college where you're staying home, if you're staying on campus, you must visit. It's a must because for me, Lyco, I kind of knew Lyco was where I wanted to go because of the athletics. I knew who the coach was. I met the team before I came to the school. But before I went to Lyco, I did a couple other visits too. So when I went to Lyco, as soon as I stepped on the campus, I didn't have to hear anything the coach said to me. As soon as I stepped on campus, I was like, this could be the place for me. Like this could be the place for me. So visiting a college campus is important because you get to see what you're around. Like for instance, I was born in the city, raised in the county. So it's two different things. Like county is really the country to the city. So for me, it was like a mixture of both, but I got to see that with my own eyes rather than somebody telling me. I had people texting me, the team texting me the whole time, like, it's a good school, bro. Like, it's a good place to be. But I had to see it for myself. Like, and that's anything you do. You got to see it for yourself before you just jump in.
That makes a lot of sense. How long were you there, and then why did you transfer to the community college here?
So I was at Lycoming for a year. Um, I didn't transfer for any academic reason. It was more so basketball, like me just following my basketball journey at that point. I was a freshman going into my sophomore year. My coach had left, and my coach was pretty known. He coached Team USA, so he was pretty known. So once he left, he didn't tell us until the end of the year, which I understand. He didn't want everybody to do what I did, you know. So once he told us, I was kind of last minute too. I was like, that's why I went. That's kind of the reason I went to AACC. I was last minute, so it wasn't like I was sitting in my dorm room at Liko typing an application for other places. I came home and I was like, I sat in my room, and it was just like, what's the next step for me? Like, what's the next step? So eventually, I built up the courage. I emailed because some older people. My coach at AACC was pretty old, so older coaches don't do the whole text thing. So I had to email them. I let them know, hey, like I'm coming out. How are you doing? Good afternoon. I'm coming out to tryouts. Whenever your tryout is, just let me know conditioning, whatever it is. So I showed him that I wanted to be there, kind of thing. So another thing, I'm going to say is when I left my first school, the new coach came in and he actually came and interviewed like the players. I had 3 other players from Baltimore. He interviewed us, told us about him, told him about himself. I would love to have you back, kind of thing. And I'm just like, Coach, I just don't feel comfortable going back to Lyco right now. Because when I committed there, it was not only for the academics, but for the coach that was there at the time. So when I committed there and I left, I was like, Coach, I appreciate the offer. I just don't feel right going back there. And for me, the best is I wasn't playing a lot too. Like coming from a school where I played 36 minutes of 36 minutes in a game, going to playing 2 minutes, 3 minutes in every other game. For me, it was more so like I was losing never my love for the sport, but I was losing what I put into it over the years. So for me coming back to AACC, I knew I'd be home more like just more comfortable. That's the word I'm gonna use. Comfortable. Just more comfortable being in my safe zone.
Okay, and describe your time at AACC. So, how long were you there? What was it like? Just driving to campus. Did you attend anything on campus, like student events, other than your basketball games? What was your experience like?
So yes, I attended a lot of events. So AACC, I was at AACC for a year, just a year. But that goes into transferring as well. So if I would have went to AACC the first 2 years, I would have been good. After my sophomore year, May I end, I would have been out. But because I transferred, not every credit transferred from my first school. Not every credit transfer. There's some schools from a liberal arts that people don't understand, but there's some schools from liberal arts schools that different colleges don't take. Liberal arts are kind of like in their own section, So when I went to ACC, I had a lot of transfer credits, a lot. But when I went to ACC, it was 2 credits maybe that didn't transfer, or 2 credits I was behind on that maybe I took at Lyco, but they weren't good enough for AACC standards, to get associates at AACC. So once I transferred to AACC, I had a summer course. I had 2 summer courses. They were excelled. So I was there from May 15th, I think we ended. I was there from May to July 12th. Once July 12th came, my associates was in my hand, So, but other than that, I attended volleyball games, soccer games, baseball games. I mean, student events, seminars, everything. And it wasn't because I felt like I had to at all. It was more so because ACC, like it's like that's a place that it really makes you feel at home. So if I know I'm going home at the end of the night, laying in my bed, I'll stay at campus as long as I need to.
Now, you said that Lyco was a pretty small school, and AACC has really developed over the years. There's like 2 different campuses almost, where like there's a road that you have to drive through or a bridge you can walk across. So, how could you compare that to Lyco in size with AACC?
It's kind of uncomparable. Like Glen Burnie, even at Glen Burnie, until my junior year, I seen a new face every day, kind of thing. I went to Lyco, every face I seen walking to class the same time I walking to class. Like literally, it was like we was all in the same time frame. I walked to class at 10:55. I see somebody walking out of class at 10:55. It was all the same. But when I went to AACC, like AACC is a pretty people don't understand it's a pretty big school. When I was there, they were just starting to development. They were just starting it. So when I was walking in the gym, there would be construction fences all the way around. Now that the construction area that they were building, it's a building there now. So for me, AACC, I seen a new face every day. Whether walking to class, walking to, and it might have been people I knew like throughout the county. Like AACC, you'll see a lot of people that a lot of friends that you see like throughout the county that you won't even think they go to AACC. I walked in the library, I had somebody checking me out that I was close friends with. So that was the size comparison is major. But when it comes to AACC, like if you're from Glen Burnie, you don't know anything outside of Glen Burnie, no other high school, you don't know about anybody from no other high school, then it'll be like you're at a Division I college. Like you'll see a new face every day. But for me, I knew a couple people. When I went to AACC on the basketball team, I was playing with people that I used to play rivals. I was playing with rivals that I had in high school at AACC, but we still made it work. So it was good to see that bond too form. And I still talk to all these dudes to the same day. Like I live on the water, for instance, and I just had all these guys come down. We were fishing on a pier the other day.
That's awesome. Cool. So tell me about the school that you're currently attending. Like where is it located? Size wise, how does it relate? Is it small, medium, large?
If you look it up on Google, it's large. Okay, but that's because we have a lot of commuters. So we only got two, and this is what I'm saying. Like, it's so like it might get confusing here, but Mercy, the school I'm attending now, we had 2 college dorms, just 2. They were big, but it was just 2. And off campus, we had off campus too. We had off campus housing. 15,000 students, but there were a lot of commuters. What was it called? The train. I don't know what it was called. The subway. It ran right through my school had a stop for the subway. So
Like the light rail?
yeah, it would be compared to light rail, but it's called I can't remember the name for it. I never took it, but I had my car up there. I was blessed to have my car up there, but I never took it. But it was compared to the light rail, So, and we had shuttle buses too. We had shuttle buses, pick kids up, drop them off. But compared to AACC in my first school, Mercy was big. But Mercy, if I had to compare it to something, it'd be my first school because I still see the same face every day. I still see the same face every day. The only time I've seen a different face is when I went to the library, maybe, or in a class, because you got a lot of commuters. 15,000 students, maybe 5,000 live on campus. So it was pretty small, but it was big at the same time. Like our gym wasn't too big. Our gym was probably the same size as Glen Burnie, but games will be packed. So, people that like even teachers be like, I'm coming to see you play today. We're like, all right, cool. Like, like, come on, like.
That's nice. So it seems like it has that small campus feel. Where is it located?
Dobbs Ferry, New York. So people consider it upstate. I'm not from New York, so I don't consider that upstate. It's 30 minutes from Manhattan. I consider that New York, the Big Apple.
Okay. And when you were living on campus, what were some of the things that you liked to do there? Like, what did it have to offer students?
So, I mean, they got trails. Mercy has trails. They have bike riding, like literally, like, I don't know if anybody's been to the city, but if you go to the city, you got the scooters now. Now you got the scooter at the city you can rent. We had bikes you can rent. We had bike racks for your personal bikes. There was a gym right under the college dorm. They would play things like freeze tag, like they would have earphone parties. That's when you listen to your own music in the earphone, you used to have a party outside. We would play manhunt. Like we didn't have a football team, but we had soccer. Our soccer was top in our division. Soccer games were lit. We had off-campus housing. Right down the street, we had a gas station. If you needed to walk, right next to us, we had a high school. Actually, there's a couple people that came out of that high school too, like are pro players now. But it was pretty cool. You had a pool. And that's another thing. I wasn't there this day. I wasn't there. I was late coming up because I had to get my car. I had to get a key made for my car. Pop Smoke came to our school and performed at our school.
Wow, that's awesome. And you missed it because what? Did you lose your key? What happened?
It was OO key. I had a Mercedes, so the key is like chip, so it wasn't working. I had to get a new key, put it in, and start it up. So I was kind of mad I missed it, but
Okay, so thinking about Liko, the community college, and Mercy, what has been one of your like favorite college memories to date or college experiences to date?
I got too many of them. Favorite college experience is just chilling with my team. Not even my team, but chilling just with the people I knew, like at the college. Just meeting new people. Like there's people I met that I talk to today, you know, like. But a favorite college experience, I gotta go with probably. I like to eat. Me and my team would always get together, cook and eat, or we would get together in the caf as a team. We'd go to the caf and eat. So probably that.
What has been one of like the hardest transitions that you've experienced in any one of your three schools, going either to a different college or from high school to college your first year?
So this is so like basic, but for me, as long as ball was there, I don't care where I went. So the hardest transition was moving, packing everything up on cue, and I'm last minute on everything. So every time I moved for college, whether it was going to my first school, whether it was coming back home from my first school, going to the second, coming back home the next year, it was moving. So that for me, that probably had to be the hardest transition. I never really, I was more, and you can probably testify to this. I was more outspoken, always outspoken, you know. So I never really had a problem meeting new people. People would be like, "Where are you from?" Like when I was in New York, because you sound like you're from down south. I'm like Maryland. I'm not down south, but to New Yorkers, Maryland is down south. So the hardest transition for me was just adapting to the new atmosphere. That I mean, that's it. I mean, school is school. You know, you're going to get the same, not the same, but you're going to get assignments. You're going to have things turned in a different way. That's probably from high school is the biggest adaptation for me. Because in high school, you know, I could tell the teachers like, look, like my night wasn't the best, or I didn't understand this, I didn't understand that, and they'll sit down with you, help you do it before. If you come in early, they'll help you do it before class starts. But in college, they don't want to hear none of that. It is in college, you turn it online. You don't hand no physical paper into the teacher unless they ask for it, and that's probably been 3 times out of my. And if they ask for it 3 times, including if they ask for it, you had to turn it online first, and then go print it out and bring it to class, kind of thing. You know, so the hardest transition for me was definitely moving. I live with my great grandma, so leaving her. That's also another reason I came back to AACC to be with her for a year. Because she got hurt the first year that I moved out, taking the trash out, which was my job when I was here. So definitely moving, leaving my grandma, things like that. That was the hardest transition for me.
Okay, well, that makes a lot of sense. Now, why don't we switch gears for a minute and talk about what are the differences with the demands of being a college athlete versus a high school athlete?
In high school, it's more so if you want to be here, be here. In high school, I failed. I failed to get in the gym after practice hours. I mean, I was working a full-time job too, but I failed to get in the gym after practice hours. But in college, you get scholarships. So there's ain't no job, ain't no excuse to why you can't do it. If you be here at this time, you know, I hated running. Still hate to this day, but I got to do it if I got to do it. You know, to play ball, you got to run. Still hate it. So in high school, you know, you can miss a practice, you know, be out for practice, and you might get a little consequence, maybe running up and down a sprint. In college, it's a business, so they take it as a business. So if you're missing practice, you're not playing in the next game. And while you're not playing in the next game and you're not playing that practice, so my coach, if I missed the practice, the next practice if I came late, get on the sideline, give me this, and it's something that you didn't want to hear. Basically, if I was late to workouts, lifting, look, you start over there first. It wouldn't even need you start over there first. You do this workout with the team first, then see me right after. You got some more workout now to do, you know. But for me, the difference, like I said, in high school, it's if you want to be there. If you want to be there, if you're talented enough to be there in high school, you can be there. You can be there, eat whatever you want, go to sleep after. But in college, it's a whole different ball game. Everybody was you in high school. Everybody was a top athlete in high school. If you get recruited, then you're a top athlete. So everybody was a top athlete in high school. Everybody had what you had. So it's not you're not fighting for playing time. You're fighting for a position over another guy. So that it was a major transition, major. Because another thing too is my coach was real cool with the weightlifting coach. So he would give us a schedule: Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Get in the weight room. If you don't get in there, I'll know. I've tested it out a couple times. Not only me, but teammates have tested it out a couple times. Test it out, not go. That's cool. Like, all right, bet you don't go to weightlifting. See me after practice. So and that makes you more. It disciplines you. That's what it did for me. And I mean, I can see it in my teammates. That's what it did for them too. It disciplines them. So it's a lot more discipline. And high school is a lot of more self-discipline. In college, you get discipline. Like if you were a kid and you did something wrong, timeout, you get discipline. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
That's good to know. So you love ball. That's totally obvious. What are you majoring in school for? Like, what do you hope to do?
I plan on going into criminal justice. I got 2 more classes. 2 more classes. I have a science criminal justice major. After that, I plan on going into not right away. I'm gonna take my time going into it because it'll be my career. So I want to make sure I'm ready because it's a dangerous job at the end of the day. So I want to make sure I'm ready to go in there. Maybe do some more research myself. Maybe shadow an officer. Anything. I don't want to be I wanted to be a police officer, but it's getting dangerous. So I think I'm gonna go into probation, parole, which is kind of the same thing. More so, it's like a daycare for older people. Older people that just released. Getting them back into the community. And then Not only that, but it's more for me. The reason I want to do it is because I'm young myself, 23. So there's a lot of guys, 18, you go to jail, you get charged as an adult. So you get charged as if you were 21, So there's a lot of guys that could use the reaching out to, to change their life around, different things like that. And I really don't see myself doing anything else but that because, like I said, I failed 6th grade. I had to do it myself, change my life around. That's without help. That's without somebody pushing me to do it. That's what my own motivation,
So with the criminal justice background, you hope to become a parole officer?
Yeah, parole, probation. I mean, if I can do both, I'll do both. But if not, probation. They're the same thing. So either or. I think they're under the same thing anyway.
Okay, and what inspired you? Like, why are you interested in that?
So even if you like my grandfather, for instance, he passed away December will be 18 years. So I live right by the water, right by Marley Creek. Anybody from around here knows where that is. I live right by the water. I always see fire engines go down, fill up their tank to water, or go spit their water out, whatever it is. So once I seen the lights, I'm like, that's what I want to do. So at first it was a firefighter, but I'm like, growing up, I'm like, I can't see myself going to no burning building. Like, I just can't see it, unless I have to. As a cop, you still have to do it. So then I changed to cop, so cop for me is dangerous, and like people don't have regards nowadays. Which somebody has to do it, but maybe me eventually. But for me, I want to do probation because you have to start somewhere in criminal justice to move anywhere. You got to start from the bottom to move to the top. So I want to start probation, parole, and then maybe go into FBI, somewhere around that lines.
Nice. Well, Dayvon, I wish you the best of luck this year, finishing out your last 2 classes. Thank you so much for taking the time to be with us today. And please join us next time when we learn about additional college experiences and how AVID can help students prepare for life after high school.
Thank you for joining us today on AVID Achievers. Join us next time to meet some more AVID graduates in their college settings.